Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive today into something called No Mow May.
Right. A pretty simple concept on the surface.
Yeah, basically holding off on mowing your lawn in May. And this really clicked for two students, Kesser and Steen, from a nature and innovation class.
Mm-hmm. They heard about it, interestingly, from a Cornell University podcast, which was actually about golf course
Golf
grass.
courses, yeah, kind of
Yeah.
specific, but it sparked this idea about, giving insects a boost by not mowing.
And what's great is how they immediately connected it to what was happening around them, like right in Oma's garden.
Oh, right, yeah. They mentioned seeing the apple trees starting to bloom.
Exactly. And the beech trees leafing out, the oaks budding. It wasn't just theory. They saw the connection to spring actually happening.
Made it very real for them. And Steen apparently made a funny comparison.
He did, yeah. Likened it to his dad growing a beard for Movember.
Huh, okay. Not shaving in November for men's health awareness.
Compared to not mowing in May for biodiversity. It sort of sets a nice relatable tone, doesn't it? A deliberate pause for a good reason.
Definitely. So that's our focus, really following Kesser and Steen's journey as they learned about No Mow May, where it came from, and what it actually means for pollinators waking up.
Yeah, because that timing is key. Where did it start? That was one of their questions, too.
And they found out it began over in England.
That's right. About 15 years ago or so, an organization called Plantlife was behind it.
Plantlife, okay. They even got the website. We should mention that maybe later.
Yeah, it's a good resource.
Yeah.
And then adding to that, they actually spoke to someone at a local plant nursery.
Ah, the mysterious man in the green shirt.
That's the one. He sort of broke down the practical side of No Mow May for them.
So what's the core idea, he explained? Just leave the mower in the shed.
Pretty much, yeah. For the month of May, just let nature have a bit of a break. Especially helpful for wild pollinators, bees, butterflies, giving them food right when they emerge.
Makes sense. But it's not just about the bees and butterflies, is it?
No, not at all.
Right.
It benefits loads of other life in the grass and soil, too. Think beetles, larvae, spiders, even earthworms and all the microorganisms down there.
Right, the whole mini ecosystem.
Yeah.
And Kesser and Steen found out this idea didn't just stay in England.
No, it jumped across the pond, basically. It's now in the U.S. Places like Cornell Uni are doing research, running campaigns.
And they saw links to things in Denmark, too, like Wildemedvilge.
Exactly. Wildmedvilge or Sliphaven-free, kind of like Wild with Purpose or Let the Garden Loose. It seems to be part of a bigger trend, this idea of letting things be a bit wilder.
Yeah, this global recognition that maybe perfectly neat isn't always best for nature.
And that Movember comparison Steen made comes back here,
How so?
Well, it frames no not as like being lazy or neglectful,
Right.
but as a conscious choice. A deliberate pause from the constant tidying, specifically to help biodiversity and insect life. Just like Movember is a deliberate thing for men's health.
Okay, so what are the really concrete benefits Kesser and Steen might see, or anyone doing this, especially for those pollinators just waking up?
Well, the big one is flowers. Lots more wildflowers.
Like dandelions, which people usually try to get rid of.
Exactly. Dandelions, daisies, buttercups, clover. The stuff that pops up naturally. If you don't mow, they get a chance to bloom in May.
And that's the crucial food source.
Absolutely vital. Nectar and pollen, right when bees and butterflies are emerging and really need that energy boost.
And the longer grass itself, does that help too?
Oh, definitely. It provides shelter, little hiding places for frogs, beetles, insect larvae. It becomes a habitat.
So food and shelter.
And more. Leaving the soil undisturbed helps too. You let the soil structure develop, those underground fungal networks, they get a chance to thrive.
Ah, the unseen stuff.
Very important stuff. Plus, earthworms and microbes are more active, especially if you're also avoiding, artificial fertilizers and pesticides. It builds healthier soil.
Which, good for the lawn in the long run anyway.
Precisely. And Kesser and Steen probably realized it doesn't mean your whole garden has to look like a jungle.
Right, it's flexible.
Totally.
Yeah.
You can leave just certain areas unmown.
Oh.
Or mow paths through it. Or maybe just wait until June for the first cut. Or mow in stages.
Gives options.
Yeah, and for kids or, curious people like Kesser and Steen, it's actually a great chance to explore, to see what pops up when you just wait.
It's kind of an experiment in your own backyard.
Exactly.
Steen also had a thought about saving money, right?
I
Less
did.
mowing, less fuel.
Yeah, the practical angle. He even had a slogan, apparently, something like, we offer targeted opting out of unnecessary care for a healthier life in your garden.
Catchy. framing doing less as a smart choice.
Yeah, and he had the other line, why slow mow if you can no mow?
He sounds like he was enjoying this. Ready to be a biodiversity consultant specializing in doing nothing.
Strategic inaction. His specialty, hold up, Med, it's slow. Just stop mowing.
Love it. Now, Kesser and Steen also picked up on the timing, didn't they? About when bees actually wake up. Because it's not the same everywhere.
That's a really important point they noted. The Cornell podcast probably mentioned that spring hits later in, say, Vermont or New York compared to Denmark.
So the timing of No Mow May lines up differently.
Right. Queen bees usually emerge when the soil warms up consistently, maybe above 10 degrees Celsius, and crucially, when there's food available.
Okay.
In Denmark, Kesser and Steen might see that happen in March or April, some years. But in the northeastern U.S., it's often May. So No Mow May fits perfectly there.
But what about places with even milder winters, like Vancouver maybe, where things start even earlier?
Good question. Even in milder places like Vancouver, where bees might be active sooner, No Mow May still has value. It's less about the specific date of May 1st and more about ensuring there's enough food when the bees actually wake up in that location.
So it's about the principle, let flowers bloom when pollinators emerge.
Exactly. It ensures an abundance and variety of flowers and shelter are available at that critical early stage, whenever that happens to be locally.
Which brings us back to Plantlife in England and why they started it. Kesser and Steen found out it wasn't just a random idea.
No, definitely not. Plantlife saw a problem. People were mowing lawns, parks, verges right when wildflowers were starting to bloom and bees were emerging.
Cutting off the food supply just as it was needed most.
Precisely. So No Mow May was a direct response. A simple way to let grass, and yes, weeds flower, to feed pollinators at the start of their season.
It really taps into that wider ecological awareness, doesn't it? That maybe our obsession with super tidy short lawns isn't actually that healthy.
Absolutely. And the idea that sometimes, doing less can actually help more, letting nature do its thing a bit.
And when Kesser and Steen saw Oma's apple trees blooming, the beech trees leafing out.
That's the exact window. That's the critical time No Mow May is designed to support, when that early food is absolutely essential for the pollinators waking up.
And specifically for bees, like bumblebees, they need those common weeds.
They really do. Dandelions, clover things, often pulled out for a clean lawn, are fantastic early food sources. Take them away, and you remove a vital food supply.
Makes you rethink tidy, doesn't it? Are we tidying for us or for the plants and animals?
It's a great question. Nature doesn't really mind a bit of messiness, often thrives on it.
And the potential increase in food is quite dramatic.
Yeah, that quote from Mark Schofield at Plantlife. He said, reducing mowing could produce up to 10 times more nectar for insects.
10 times? That's huge potential from just not mowing for a month.
It really is, especially when you think about the sheer number of bees, like the 270 types they have in the UK alone, all needing that nectar.
And it really champions those humble lawn flowers.
Absolutely. Dandelions, daisies, they become early spring heroes, essential food when not much else might be blooming. And Steen and Kesser might like this. Sparrows eat the seeds later, too.
So it ripples out.
It does. And again, it's not just food. Mark Schofield also stressed the habitat aspect.
Right, to shelter.
Yeah, he said something like, it's not just bees. We're looking to host a whole variety of invertebrates that need our longer grass to sustain their life cycles.
And feed our birds. Completes the cycle.
Exactly. It's about supporting that whole web of life.
And have people actually seen positive results where they've tried No Mow May?
Oh, yes. The feedback seems really positive. Where people stopped mowing in May, flowers came back.
And the insects followed.
Yep. More bees, more butterflies, more beetles were observed. It's pretty direct evidence that it works.
That's encouraging. A simple change with visible results.
And there's even a benefit later in the year that longer grass can provide shelter for small mammals like voles or hedgehogs during the summer, too.
So the benefits extend beyond May.
They certainly can. It's about creating slightly richer, more complex habitats.
Okay. So as you, our listener, maybe look out at your lawn this May, perhaps thinking about what Kesser and Steen discovered.
Yeah, maybe see those dandelions a bit differently.
Exactly. See that slightly longer grass, not as neglect, but maybe as a welcome mat, a potential haven for pollinators and other creatures just waiting for a chance.
What difference could letting it grow just a little longer actually make in your patch? Something to think about.
Okay, let's get into this.